This is the book that has everybody talking. It is called Sex. Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Erotica. Romance. Okay. Erotica. Romance. My name is Dita. I'll be your mistress tonight. Hey, yo. Okay. Wow. My goodness. Madonna. Only you. Child, I swear, only you. When I tell you, when she came up with this book in the 90s called Quote Unquote Sex, it was pandemonium. It was craziness. It was so controversial. It was just like, wow. Just wow. Not only because she's seen with Big Daddy Kane, yes, the rapper, quote unquote, doing it, which, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was weird in that photo. Everything else that was going on, the positions, the faces that were being made, I mean, was it good for either party? I don't. Either way, I have no words for it. Which is odd since, I speak 3 languages, but hey. If you have Amazon or if you have ePay, go buy the book and you'll see what I'm talking about. But anyways, more so, it was crazy, it was controversial, and it was just it caused so much pandemonium because it displayed female sexuality and the exploration of female desire in such a provocative and blatant/blunt manner. It had never been seen, it had never been done before. At least not to my knowledge, anyways. The book was such a problem, it had to be wrapped up in plastic with the title posted on front of it. And even that was suggestive and a problem since, the plastic it was wrapped up in, it looked like, gray latex. A condom, if you would. A crazy new form of a prophylactic. I mean, for all that, they could have just put the book in Scotch guard, but I guess, how would you put it in the Scotch guard? But so it's resistant to stains, bodily fluids, all the, I don't know. Madonna, only you. But yeah, that book, it was the epitome of what quote unquote taboo is, will always be, and how taboo has just, really evolved. And taboo is actually, what we don't talk about, openly, regularly, and to some extent, seriously. Oh, yes, let's talk about it, okay? And in that sense, you could say Madonna's entire career, or at least her entire catalog, was taboo. From Justify My Love and Erotica, which you just heard in the beginning, to Like a Prayer, and of course, her interesting song of Like a Virgin, which, yeah, we're not going to get too much in that. Oh, goodness, Madonna. You're always creating controversy and or commotion with everything you put out or everything you do. Talk about sex sounds. But the idea of quote-unquote being taboo, quote-unquote, it stretches far beyond the sexual realm. And with the times changing and the standard for what is considered taboo and what isn't considered taboo anymore in desperate need of an update, let's talk about it, shall we? Oh yes, everything about it. And what are we talking about? Oh yes, quote-unquote taboo. Now, taboo is defined as a prohibition imposed by social customs or as a protective measure. The word taboo is actually a Tongan word, or a Tongan word. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's spelled T-A-B-U. If you don't believe me, go on Wikipedia and look it up. All right. Is a Tongan word that means forbidden. That was actually coined by Captain James Hook in the 18th century when he tried to try something new and the people was just like, yeah, I don't know about all that. That's some different mess. I ain't never seen nothing done like that before. Or to put it in layman's terms, it's something that is not acceptable to say, mention, and or do. Now, what is considered quote-unquote taboo? Yeah, that's very difficult to answer since it varies all around from person to person to country, okay? Now, in the previous session, I want to say session 1, particularly episode 4, Was It Good For You? I talked briefly about how oral sex on women in Jamaica is taboo since the men were still going crazy and losing their minds about it when anybody even accused them or said that them, eat, nyam, bow, or anything where Ashana did I say in a fair song, equal rights, which my girl, big up to you. And of course, that taboo, quote unquote, is still going on. Even to this day, from Pop kind of recently having to court tie with him, alleged Brita for eating the cho-cho, to a police officer being suspended for seeing a woman that tastes like, when they say the woman that tastes like, oh yeah, rum and raisin ice cream with cheese. Jesus Christ, what y'all look at the man them know. Or Ninja, my way to tell a while ago, if the man them bow, or if them, go down sort, them offer just saying, come out and just be like, we are kittens. I don't know, but meanwhile over here in the States, it's just what you do, From Sister Kaya to Cardi B to Janet and Beyonce, they all agree, put that tongue to work, honey. Oh, and how could I forget Sister Megan? Miss Stallion herself, which, that girl's a savage, she don't give a fuck. Yes. But now, I have another question to ask. Why is this a taboo in Jamaica? I'm not entirely sure. Especially since their music is much more explicit than anything I've heard any American put out, okay? And to me, their music sounds borderline like audible porn. I mean it, okay? The positions, the fluids, the imagery. When I tell you, say the Jamaican them have a way with words. And when the things say the two artists and before them even write and start voice the song them, then they do, then they sing what the cocky I do, what the pussy I do, and all them something there. I don't know, but who knows? It could be power dynamics, gender equality, lack of reciprocity, or a combination of all three more likely than not, since, expression of female sexuality is still something that just isn't talked about. It isn't going on. Apparently women just shouldn't even have them desires. Meanwhile, the men, they can talk about anything they want to, especially in Jamaica, which, Lord knows, let's talk about it. From Gage in his song called Shorts. The amount of beating with him to catch for that song from the elder them, And of course to the new artist called Briscoe with him song called, which if you haven't seen the video, you're gonna want me to talk about when you see it. And of course, with this whole insure nonsense, which if you don't know what insure is, I don't know what to tell you. And how can I forget? An honorable mention, Lali with them song Conflicts and Body Water, which... I have no words for that, okay? But that, I should say, is more of a social custom taboo. Oh yes, the levels are everywhere. There are all sorts of taboos, from the social custom taboos to the food taboos, which they kind of go hand in hand, to the more, protective measure taboos, aka religious taboos, as I call them. Now, these taboos, otherwise known as the religious/protective measure taboos, they have more weight to them as they deal with more grave and serious aspects of life. And most of them, they have a traditional unspoken agreement about them. The most common ones are more so about, the LGBT community, especially with the death penalty and imprisonment still being used in African countries to this day as punishment for engaging in sexual relations with the same sex. And it's also going on in the Little Africa, or as I call it, the Caribbean. Actually, no, wait, it's still going on in the Caribbean, or as I call it, Little Africa, specifically in Jamaica with the Offenses Against the Person Act, or is more commonly referred to as the Buckery Law. And then, of course, there's women's rights, specifically with abortion, which, goodness gracious, if Roe versus Wade gets overturned, the U.S. is going to be looking a lot more like China, child, but in reverse. Or maybe Ireland back in the day, or the Middle East that are now, or the Catholic Church. And to think, the separation of church and state. Shoot. Soon you're not even going to be having access to birth control. Ain't that a bitch, but... that's for another segment down the line. I guarantee you we're going to touch back on that later on. Excuse me. But that's just beginning. Taboos vary all around. Like in China, you will not find the number 4 anywhere, since they consider it a bad omen. That means no 4th floor, no 4 seasons, no 4 for forfeit McDonald's. None of that. And in Malaysia, touching a person's head is considered rude and disrespectful, since they believe the head is where the soul lies, which... interesting. That's all I gotta say is interesting. In Nepal, you can't share food from the same plate, as it is considered disgusting to eat from food that someone else has already touched, which... facts! That's all I gotta say, facts! And in Italy, this is, I guess, one of the more odder ones. You cannot request extra cheese on your pizza, which that is, um, yeah, a lot of, baby, I'm just gonna start saying you every check I get from now on, okay? Because irony is everywhere. Don't you think? It's just everywhere. And yeah, I really do think. Where was I? Oh, yes. But where do taboos come from? Well, I can only think of three places: fear, misinformation slash education, and wonder slash curiosity. Now, to start off, taboos, they generally start to stem from miseducation slash misinformation. Because usually when a taboo subject, item, and or activity comes up, most people, yeah, they don't know what to do, think, or say about it since they probably never considered it or gave it much thought. And on top of that, most people love to run with hearsay or something that they may have seen once that has either blown the taboo, quote unquote, way out of proportion, aka exaggerated it, or has just spewed out complete and utter BS about it entirely. I guess nobody wants to have a mind of their own. No one wants to be original. Tragic. Mm. But anyways, taboos can also start or originate out of fear, whether it's fear from, what will my friends, family, or the general public think if I engage in this quote unquote thing or taboo, or the fear of, if they engage and happen to enjoy this quote unquote taboo thing in question, what does that say about me? Am I weird? Am I crazy? Am I a freak, quote unquote, either in the sexual sense or just a freak of nature? Am I not right? My goodness, the amount of pressure and unnecessary stress people put about how people are perceived and or judged by others. Mm, that shit'll kill you, and to some extent it has. But moving on, taboos can also quote unquote bloom from wonder and curiosity. Oh, yes, naturally, everybody loves the unknown, everybody loves a mystery, everybody is an investigative reporter, and everybody deep down is just, they're a seeker. Monotony is boring and stale. You need to shake it up. You need to try something different. You need to experiment. You need to try something new. That movie was wonderful. And also, you start to wonder, what if? Maybe? I don't know. If I give it a try, because you never know until you try. But if you don't know, now you know. Thank you, Becky. Oh, and of course, if you disagree with that, then you just don't know. But you better ask somebody. Yes, Mrs. Fox. Thank you, baby. I Now, let's use a personal example. I once got dry humped, fucked up against a busy subway station staircase by a strange man. Mind you, he was fine. He was a little older, but that is considered exhibitionism, or just doing sexual acts in a public place or in some place that you're not supposed to. But for me, I never had an opinion on it since I'd never done it before. I mean, I've heard about it, I've seen it, but I never had an opinion on it. I'm not judgmental. Was there some fear about it? Yes, because what if you get caught? There's the shame, there's the embarrassment, there's all that, and there's also the interesting thing about getting arrested for that or getting fined. But my wonder and curiosity and the fact that he was fine, child, that led me to giving it a try. And turns out, yeah, I was into it. No lie. I'm a wild bitch, child. We have a lot of interesting taboos we like to dive in, but it was what it was. But you see, most people make quote unquote taboo subjects into more than what they are. And most of that, I should say, most of that occurs because it's just, they're new. That's exactly what it is. Just like being gay. That was once taboo in U.S. society because it was new. Nobody had ever heard of it. Nobody had ever been aware of it. Nobody had ever seen it so blatantly in their face, and they didn't know what to make of it. And also they were also hung up about the sex aspect. And of course, this was during the 80s when AIDS was going around like crazy. And even though Lord knows traces, gays being everywhere in society has went long before then, but nobody was really talking about it then because, it wasn't everywhere. It wasn't prevalent. You just wasn't seeing it. But nowadays, shit, everybody is gay. Well, not everybody's gay, but you get what I'm trying to go. You get the picture. You see it everywhere, okay? There's inclusivity when it comes to gays. Now, trans children, they're kind of catching the heat more, but, that again is still new. And then, of course, there's that fetishization. They're still hung up in, the sex aspect. And then, of course, there's the whole, that thing is layered. But again, trans people, the more we integrate them into society more so, or the more we kind of talk about them, educate ourselves about them, that's not going to be taboo for much longer. But the more they just end up being treated like animals, or just end up, just being all kinds of scrutinized, ostracized, or just, kind of just dismissed, that shit will remain a taboo for quite some time. But where am I going? Oh, yes. The taboos in general, they're like kinks. Oh, yes. Everyone has one that they're either not talking about, they've engaged in, but they just ain't speaking on, or they don't even know they're even aware about. Yet, anyways, because just like how the times are changing, so are taboos of the world. It only takes one to talk about it, and then boom, the dialogue starts, and boom, the taboo is no more. Because then, everybody's going to have an opinion about it. Everybody's going to talk about it. Everybody's going to want to know what it is, what it's about. And it's just, it gets the ball rolling, so to speak, So if it's taboo, talk about it. Let it out. Get that ball rolling, honey. Unless it's a crazy one, which, But even still, man, talk about it. Yes, talk about everything. Because, controversy sells. Just ask any dancehall artist out today. Okay? Somebody's got to bring it up. So, why not be you?